Hi Bob, I'm Samantha Cordova and this is my assignment 4 on terms and conditions. So I just wanted to start with the questions that you provided to us in the assignment instructions. So first I wanted to talk today a little bit about what terms and conditions are in privacy policies. So websites today are equipped with a privacy policy which explains to its users how they are protected and how the company plans to use their private information, as well as a terms and conditions clause or agreement which explains how the company is protected, as well as the rules and regulations that must be abided by and adhered to as a user conducts business using the company's website. Priceline.com's terms and conditions are a valid contract. Throughout the terms and conditions, Priceline.com explains the user's rights and obligations and how Priceline.com is, if at all, held liable in certain situations. The terms and conditions that Priceline.com publishes on their website must be adhered to in order to conduct business with Priceline.com and any of the third-party travel agencies that they work with. When using Priceline.com, Priceline.com asks if the user is of 18 years old, because it clearly states within the terms and conditions that in order to do business with Priceline.com, the user must be 18. In addition, before being able to purchase your flight or hotel package, Priceline.com requires a user to initial a statement confirming that they've read the terms and conditions and privacy policy that they publish on their website. The clause that they have to initial reads, "I have read, accept, and agreed to abide by Priceline.com's terms and conditions and privacy policy." Priceline.com provides hyperlinks to the terms and conditions, as well as a privacy policy in the event that a user has not yet read these two agreements. The terms and conditions become a valid agreement once a user signs their initials. It is the user's obligation to fully read and understand the terms and conditions that Priceline.com is setting forth. When a user is making a purchase with or through Priceline.com, they are required to initial, like I said, these agreements if they understand the terms and conditions that apply to Priceline.com. This validates the contract between the user and Priceline.com. I believe that until a user knowingly initials and agrees to the contract, it is tough to say that a user is bound to the agreement. Priceline.com does not place their terms and conditions in an area on their website where a user may be able to access them easily. Since I am educated on online marketing, I know generally where a website chooses to put their terms and conditions, so they're easy for me to find. However, someone that might not use the internet that often, they might not even know terms and conditions exist, let alone where to find them. Until a user is about to purchase via Priceline.com, they are not asked to agree to any terms. I think that it is unfair of Priceline.com to assume that a user has read these conditions if they're not presented with a link knowing where to find them or that they even exist. When a user knowingly, though, signs their initials stating that they've agreed to the terms and conditions, at that point it is the responsibility and obligation of the user to fully read and understand what they're saying that they agree to. In the terms and conditions on Priceline.com, I feel like there's a lot of obligations for the user and very few obligations for Priceline.com. Some of the obligations stated in Priceline.com's terms and conditions for the user are that the user agrees to the acceptance and acknowledgement of copyright notice, the user agrees to use Priceline.com as intended and not for commercial use, which includes copying content, violating restrictions, deep linking to any portion of Priceline.com, posting content that links to anything that may be harmful or illegal on Priceline.com, using Priceline.com in a way that may damage the site or Priceline.com's functionality. A user also needs to know that when creating an account, the information used must be accurate. It's user responsibility to maintain the confidentiality of a security question when registering for an account. A user agrees to notify Priceline.com immediately if there's been any unauthorized use of their account. A user agrees that they have read the privacy policy and terms and conditions contained within the agreement. A user is agreeing that they are at least 18 years of age or older, because minors are not permitted to use Priceline.com. A user must agree to defend and indemnify Priceline.com and their covered parties from any claims, causes of action, demands, recoveries, losses, damages, fines, penalties, or other costs or expenses of any kind. A user must also understand that when they use Priceline.com to submit requests for on behalf of a third party or any other user, that it's that user's responsibility to ensure that all the information that they're providing to Priceline.com is correct and accurate. The user then is held responsible if any information for that third party, if it is not correct, that's user responsibility. The user also agrees that any comments or feedback or suggestions that they provide to Priceline.com when published on Priceline.com's website becomes Priceline.com's property. The user also agrees that Priceline.com may contact them via electronic means that they provide to Priceline.com, and that when a user is accessing Priceline.com, they're accessing this website from an authorized country. Priceline.com lists out a list of countries where it is acceptable to use the service. A user also agrees that they will not link back to Priceline.com unless authorized to do so from Priceline.com. As I stated earlier, I believe that the user has many obligations and Priceline.com has very few. Some of the obligations that Priceline.com has that I saw in their terms and conditions is that Priceline.com must post updated terms as soon as they become available. So this kind of goes back and forth. It states that they must post these as soon as they become available, but it also states then that they can change the policy at any time. It's the user's responsibility to come back to read the terms and conditions if they're conducting business with Priceline.com over a period of time, since these conditions might have changed since the last time they conducted business with them. Priceline.com also must apply credit due to a user's credit card in the event that a trip has been canceled or modified due to any errors. Priceline.com also reserves the right to suspend or terminate the site or any portion of it at any time without notice to any users. And beyond these obligations, I think there's very few that Priceline.com refers to that they must uphold. A lot of them seem optional on Priceline.com's behalf. I believe that all sections of the terms and conditions on Priceline.com speak to their engagement are enforceable. I, however, do not feel that Priceline.com represents themselves well after reading these terms and conditions. Priceline.com is a company that's known for being very flexible and witty when using an electronic travel agent. However, after reading their terms and conditions, I feel like that their level of customer service is not the best. After reading these, I feel that Priceline.com does not want any responsibility or very limited responsibility having to do with any issues or unsatisfied customers due to using Priceline.com. The customer has many obligations, as I stated earlier, whereas Priceline.com seems to have very few and limited obligations to uphold in their terms and conditions. It seems as though Priceline.com presents a very carefree attitude to their customers and their users, and that's one thing that I would definitely change. I kind of got not a bad vibe, but a not very welcoming and friendly vibe after reading the terms and conditions and the limited liability that Priceline.com puts forth on their company and puts on the users to uphold. One of the most impactful and negative sections of the terms and conditions is Section L, which is the response to requests. Priceline.com publishes, while Priceline.com will use its good faith efforts to respond to requests within the time period indicated on the site, no guarantee is made that the status of your request will be made available to you within the stated processing time. Neither Priceline.com nor travel service providers are responsible for any errors or delays in responding to a request, including, without limitation, error or delays in responding to a request caused by an incorrect email address or other data provided by you or other technical problems beyond their control. I feel like that this is very poor customer service and drives me away from wanting to do business with Priceline.com, especially when it's such a saturated industry and there's so many other options that a user could take. I feel like when booking a trip, there's so many questions that a user may have, and that if a user has any questions or issues, Priceline.com clearly states that they might not be able to get back to the users in that allotted period of time, or in a timely fashion at all. To me, that's just not good business. I believe that Priceline.com also needs to make the terms and conditions more visible to their users. Like I said earlier, I know where to find terms and conditions after being educated through this program and working in online marketing for a few years. However, the average user may not know that terms and conditions exist, and if they do know that they exist, they might not know where to find them. I think that if Priceline.com made these more prominent within the website, or possibly even just a text link in the above the fold and towards the top of their webpage, that this might protect them and really have a user be able to read them and understand what these terms are so that they know what they are agreeing to. I think that this allows the user to know which areas they are protected as well as their obligations when conducting business. They then can choose knowingly whether they would like to conduct business with the company or if they would not. Thanks.